Yo, this is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real fans, real talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. Feels good to be back, man. It's a whole lot going on in the sports world. NFL action is going down. NBA stuff going down as well. So some things heating up in the NBA and some other things that's going on this week as well. We're going to get into all of that in just a minute. Let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? First and foremost, hope everybody had a happy and safe Thanksgiving. But like you said, we got a lot going on. Week 13 in the NFL. I still don't think we got a clear picture as who's the favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. And then we got boxing this weekend, a great fight between Pitbull and Lamar Roach. NBA is definitely heating up. We're seeing some great performances on the court. A couple guys last night that went for 40-plus points. So, yeah, it's a great time of year, man. The holiday season. You know how much we love the holiday season.
That's true. Shout out to everybody that took that cousin walk this week. This past Thursday. Love y'all, man. Nothing but love for y'all, man. Oh my goodness, man. Shout out to all the supporters. Appreciate you guys as always. This weekend is a big football weekend. Thanksgiving. Obviously, we get the 3 games on Thursday. And then pretty much just football throughout this whole weekend, and it doesn't end until by the time we get off the air tonight. is the start of the end of all the football festivities through the Thanksgiving Day weekend. Should we start with the 2 best teams in the league, or in the NFC, I should say, rather?
Let's start there.
Okay, well, because both of them took a loss this this weekend. The Eagles, obviously, we saw what happened with them. They lost to the Bears, and then the Rams turn around and lose to the Panthers. Shout out to B. I'm sorry, man. There's no way I would have known the Panthers was going to beat the Rams this weekend.
I will say this. It was a bit of information that we dropped the ball on Wednesday when we were talking about picks and games and parlays. Because what I did not realize was the Rams the week before played a 4:00 game on the West Coast. Where I think they had like the 4:00 game, and then they had to have the early game after the holiday on the East Coast. And there was reports that they didn't get into Carolina until Saturday evening. So we weren't thinking about it because that's one of the things that really doesn't affect games too often. You figure these teams fly private, charter jets and all that. But not considering the fact that a team was coming from the West Coast to play on the East Coast time, early slot. Remember, that's really at 10:00 a.m. on the West Coast time. So, but nonetheless, we got to give the Panthers their respect for coming through and winning that game.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to Carolina, man. They put on. Let me ask you this, Eric. Well, 2 things. I guess it's similar questions, but what was the bigger loss? The Eagles losing to the Bears or the Rams losing to the Panthers?
I'm going to say it was the Eagles losing to the Bears, and it's for a number of reasons. One, we've talked about this for weeks now, and I keep saying that we got to believe who the Eagles are. They're showing us who they are. And so their loss hurts them in a number of ways. One, it keeps the door open now for the Cowboys to win that division. I know it seems like a long shot, but when you look at that division and you look at the fact that Cowboys just beat them, you're looking at an Eagles team that's 8-4. You're looking at a Cowboys team that's 6-5 with the tie. So there is an outside shot now. They've allowed the Cowboys back into the divisional race. That's first. Secondly, in terms of seeding, I think that the Eagles, because of the amount of wear and tear that's been on their body, especially Saquon, they needed to battle for that number 1 seed. They needed that break probably more than anybody in the NFC. Now, I don't think they're going to get to that number 1 seed. The Bears at 9-3 kind of are in the driver's seat, but you got the Rams at 9-3, you got the Seahawks at 9-3, you got San Fran at 9-4, you got Green Bay at 8-3. You got a lot of teams, depending on who wins that North or who wins that West, has a legitimate shot to get the number 1 seed. And I think that's very important for the Eagles. For the Rams, I don't think it's as important. Not to say that they don't want home field. Of course, they would love to have home field as well. But they're still in the driver's seat to win their division, and they're the number 2 seed in the NFC right now. If they close out the season strong, they can still win the division and get the number 1 seed. I think the Eagles, just as poorly as they're playing, that was an opportunity to kind of remind everybody, hey, we're the champs. We're the only game in town on a Friday afternoon, right? There's no excuses. We've heard all the chatter about how poorly we played the last couple of weeks. They were coming off that embarrassing loss to the Cowboys when they blew a 21-point lead. And the Bears, they went into Philly and basically took their lunch money. You know what I'm saying? Like, they bullied the Eagles in Philadelphia to the point where the fans were calling for the backup quarterback. So the Eagles got a lot of trouble right now. To me, that was a more concerning loss for Philadelphia than it was for the Rams.
Yeah. Especially when you consider the fact that now we're talking about back-to-back losses, and Chicago is a team that you could face in the wild card round of the playoffs. So, this was a situation where you kind of wanted to show up and show out. And, so that's one thing. The other thing is the AJ Brown situation. So now we have, again, back-to-back weeks where AJ Brown gets the targets, he's getting the yardage, but the Eagles lose. We got a bigger problem on our hands. If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, you have a much bigger problem on your hands now, because now it's like, all right, well, maybe one game, we let AJ Brown get his rocks off and we lose. All right. But now back-to-back games, we feed him the football and we're losing. It's going to be a problem. I'm telling you, it's definitely going to be a problem. This is a recipe for disaster, and I don't see the Eagles making it back to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I don't either. And I said this last week. They are not a Super Bowl team. And I know we like to give respect to teams when they come off a championship, and rightfully so. You're the champ until somebody beats you. But we also got to acknowledge what we've been seeing. This has been weeks in the making, Trip. And anybody can go back and watch any one of our lives, whether on Monday night or on Wednesday night. I've been saying this team does not look good at all. They were just getting by a couple of weeks ago when they had those back-to-back close wins, the one against Detroit and then the one against Green Bay. And somebody commented, can the Eagles win this way? Can this be their style of play? And I said, no, you can't win this way, because the better teams are going to still put up points on you, right? In order for you to win the modern day NFL, this is not the 2000 Ravens. This is not the 85 Bears. You just can't win thinking, hey, we're going to hold everybody to 17 points. The modern NFL with the spread complexities of offenses, the fact that you can't get physical with receivers, the fact that damn near any big hit on a receiver or running back is considered a defenseless player and it's a 15-yard penalty. The fact that now the kickoff rules encourage you to either let somebody return the kickoff or they got to start from the 35, which damn near puts you almost in field goal range after a couple of plays. The modern day NFL, it's a shocker when somebody doesn't score 20 points. Everybody can score 20 points now. And so to think that, we just gonna keep getting by like this, no, it's not gonna work. And you're seeing it. The loss they had to the Cowboys is a prime example of that. You can hold the Cowboys down for one half. That offense got going in the second half, but the Eagles never responded. The Bears this week had both their running backs run for 100 yards, Trip. Like, when we talk about, we just lining up and we're just gonna punish you for 60 minutes of this game. That's exactly what the Bears did. There was no secret. There was no trickery. This wasn't one of them games where we're going to look back and be like, oh, the Eagles were a better team, but maybe they turned the ball over a couple. Nah, the Bears dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And then to add insult to injury, right, the strip on the tush push. The one play that's supposed to be so unstoppable for Philly, they can't even get that now. So what is their identity? They can't run the ball. They can't pass the ball. The defense ain't stopping the run. The defense ain't stopping the pass. Why should we be confident in anything Philadelphia is doing right now? That's really my question. Why should we be confident in anything? Because we got enough tape and enough games now to know this. Like I said, this goes back a few weeks. Saquon is struggling to break off big runs. Their defense is struggling in the second half of these games. And this started, I think, back in like September, early October. You look back at that Denver game, one of the first games I highlighted, where I said, this is a team that in the second half, they just can't put nobody away. So I have no confidence in the Eagles. They may win the division just because the Cowboys started so bad this year and they had such a big lead on them. But I have no confidence in the Eagles to come out of the NFC.
Yeah, Will, shout out to Will. He says what's keeping Philly in it is that nobody is running away with it in the NFC to the level of a team we should fear. Yeah,
that's it.
Yep, but if it's just based on them, no. All right, let's start taking a couple of these questions. Shout out to Squeezy. He says, should Ole Miss have let Kiffin finish the season? Well, I don't know if they could have let him finish the season because didn't he quit the job?
He did not quit the job. It's a very complex conversation. He was offered the LSU job. He said he was going to take some time. This is my understanding of it from the different articles and people I heard talk about it. He was offered the job. He told LSU that he was going to take about a week to think about it. The reason he was going to take a week, Ole Miss just completed their win Saturday, which all but assures them a shot at the playoffs this year. And so Lane didn't want to make a decision yet. Ole Miss, the athletic director, pretty much said, if you're going to take the job, you have to leave now. We're not going to wait for you to make the decision later. You have to make the decision now. So he made the decision and said, all right, I'm going to take it. But he asked Ole Miss to allow him to finish out this season to coach their playoff game. And their players also came forward and said they would like, even though they completely understood that Lane was leaving, but they wanted to stay and try to finish the job that they started this year. Greatest season in Ole Miss history. They're 11-1. They have an opportunity to try to win a national championship. The athletic director said no. He said, if you're leaving now.
Yeah, so that's the part that sucks because I've seen athletic directors, be on some BS before. So, it sucks for your players because you really don't want that type of a coaching change right now when the playoffs are about to start and you actually, you're pretty much in right now. So I don't understand why. I mean, I guess I do understand why, because people get emotional and you don't want to be with us, all right, then leave now. But it doesn't make sense because your school has the chance to compete for a national championship. And one of the worst things that you could do is let go a coach who's been coaching winning football for your school, has you at an 11-1 record, best, you said, in the school's history.
Yep.
You're in a position where you can contend for a national championship game. I understand you are hurt by the decision, but you have to let Lane coach that game and continue to coach if they win.
So I understand from both perspectives, but I side with Lane Kiffin, and here's why. I understand why the AD is saying that. College football has done a terrible job with their off-season schedule because even though they're on the cusp of conference championships this upcoming weekend and then the playoffs shortly after, you have kids on teams that their season is over because it ended as of Saturday that are already in the transfer portal. So it's forcing the recruitment of guys now, right? You got to start recruiting right now because let's say there might be a wide receiver from North Carolina who's in the transfer portal. And if we want to get him, we got to go after him right now before he makes a decision to start the new year. But that's on college football. That's not Lane Kiffin's fault. That's not any team's fault. That's the way college football is set up the schedule. That's also why LSU was recruiting Lane Kiffin right now. Had this been like the NFL schedule where you got to wait to the end of the season, Lane Kiffin probably doesn't even interview with them until February.
Yeah.
But because college football has allowed this transfer portal to take place right now, has allowed recruitment to start taking place right now, coaches have to make decisions before you start going to these bowl games. Because right after the bowl games, you got the Senior Bowl in January. You start getting combines and pro days in February and March. So it's such a quick turnaround that he had to make a decision. The reason I sympathize with Lane Kiffin is this. If you're the AD at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin was just offered $90 million to go to LSU. If you're not going to match that, then have the decency to say, hey, look, I can't match it. I don't blame you. You got to go take it. It's $90 million, right? You just have given me the greatest season in my school's history. I should at least have some gratitude to say, yo, you know what? Go finish the job. Finish the job, and we'll see where it stands at that point. You know what I'm saying? And maybe because you do finish the job, it might change your mind about wanting to stay here. But I'm forcing you out, and now what I'm doing is I'm punishing the kids. I'm punishing those guys who have worked hard to put themselves in this position. I'm not allowing their coach to be there with you. And I thought it was very classless of Ole Miss. There were people that were out there at the airport booming Lane Kiffin. Bro, it's $90 million. What is he supposed to stay at your school until y'all no longer want him?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's turned out 90 million from a major program like LSU. Then I saw that they didn't even allow him to pack his stuff up. They put his stuff out on the street. There's a picture. There's a picture. Yeah, there's a picture of his shirts and school and like, you know, his own personal stuff outside the facility, just waiting for him to pick it up outside the street. That shit is super whack if you Ole Miss. Like, you telling me a coach who just got you the greatest season in your school's history. This is a school who had Eli Manning at one point, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? This is a school that Jackson Dart went to. And right now, Lane Kiffin has just produced the greatest season in your school's history. And not only do you force him out because he decides to take another job, but then you put his stuff on the street.
Yeah,
come on, that's corny.
Like I'm not even mad at the forcing him out part is like, you know, that sucks. But you put that man's stuff on the street is crazy. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's super whack, bro.
I got to do better than that. That ain't cool. Well, listen, wish Lane Kiffin the best. Good luck to Ole Miss. I believe they play Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. So good luck to them and the interim head coach. Hopefully it works out. All right, let's go to my main man, Ron Charles. He says, are you still buying the Colts as contenders? Mr. Sanchez, let's take that one.
No, I'm not. The Colts have had opportunities to show the league that they're legit. They had the game against Kansas City. They had the game against Pittsburgh. They had the game against the Texans recently right now. They had the game against the Rams this year. To their credit, all those games were close. Those were, you know, one possession games that could have gone either way. Obviously, the Chiefs game is an overtime loss. The Rams game was an overtime loss. You know, the game, there's been opportunities there. But the reason I'm saying I'm not buying them as contenders is Daniel Jones is legitimately hurt. He's got a fractured fibula. They kept showing that he got a special pad on his leg. He can't run. He can't move. And so the only thing
part of his game, actually.
That's a big part of his game, and that's what makes the play calling interesting, because now you have this mobile quarterback who can move around and make plays. If he can't do that, he's never been a quarterback who can beat you from the pocket.
Yeah.
So you have that aspect, I think, already happening. Now you see Sauce Gardner went out with the calf strain. They're not putting him on an IR, but they're saying he's out indefinitely, so he's probably going to miss the next 2 games. And then you wonder how that plays out the rest of the season, because we have a long history of knowing that calf strains turn into Achilles injuries. So how is that going to play out? And then last but not least, I highlighted this when we lost to Pittsburgh. It's becoming a recurring theme. The Colts' O-line is solid, but for some reason, when teams bull rush them up the middle defensively, they cannot protect. And it showed again yesterday. I know Texas got a great defense. I'll talk about how much I like their defense. But there were times where they were literally pushing the O-line right into Daniel Jones. And because he can't move, there's nothing he could do about it. He's sitting there taking a beating because he can't move. And like I said, now you're out here with a fractured fibula. I don't see how that's going to get better as the season goes on, unless he's going to sit out for the next 2 weeks. But right now they're in a position where he can't afford to sit out.
I'm about to say that he can't afford to sit out.
Yeah, he can't afford to sit out.
And because the problem is they're about to now enter the heavy part of their schedule.
Yeah.
And when you've already lost 3 of your last 4 games. And if they do try to rest, let's say they try to rest Daniel Jones for the next 2 weeks, you got to go at Jacksonville, at Seattle, 2 playoff teams.
Yep.
Right. Then after that, you get a home game, but that's going to be against San Fran, and then you got Jacksonville and then Houston again to end the season.
Yep.
Unfortunately, as much as I thought they were going to do well, it's over.
Their only saving grace right now is they may backdoor into the playoffs, because a lot of these teams still have to play each other, right? But the injury to Daniel Jones, the fact that they missed some opportunities against some good teams to really create distance for themselves. Now, like you said, now they get to the point of the schedule where all these almost become playoff type games, because between the Colts, between the Jags and the Texans, there's only one game that separates those three teams for the division, right? The Seahawks, same thing in the West. Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, one game separates them. So that game becomes a playoff caliber game. The 49er game becomes a playoff caliber game. Then you got to play the Texans the last week of the season. That's a playoff caliber game.
Yep. And they already got the tie.
And they got the tiebreak over you, right? So this week against the Jags is a pivotal game for the Colts because I really think they got to find a way to win 2 of their last 5. They got to at least get to 10 wins. If you lose this week, now you're in a situation where you got to win 2 out of those last 4. And like I said, you're playing 2 of the best defenses in Seattle and the Texans. Those are 2 of the best defenses in all of football. And oh, by the way, your quarterback is hobbled. So to me, if the Colts are going to make the playoffs, we're not even talking contender because I don't view them as a contender. I just said that. If they're going to make the playoffs, Jaguars game has to be a must win. Oh, by the way, that's been a house of horrors for the Colts for many years. Just look back at the history. The Colts damn near have lost in Jacksonville, I think, for 9 straight years. We haven't won a game out there.
I say probably since Peyton left. That might be the last.
Maybe early Andrew Luck, bro. Maybe.
Well, listen, they tried. They had a good run, but yeah, man, them injuries, man, slow you right down.
Yeah.
All right. Best team in the AFC: Broncos or the New England Patriots. Both of these 2 teams is damn good. Both of these 2 teams got 2, really good young quarterbacks. Both of these 2 teams are on a 9-game win streak right now. I can't call it. I don't know. Honestly, it may be even. To be honest with you, at this point, I can't even call it. If the Patriots win tonight, obviously they'll have the better record. So maybe I'll give the edge to the Patriots, but both of these teams are playing some really great football. So either way, I'm okay. I think the Broncos, I may give the edge defensively to the Broncos. As far as coaching goes, honestly, I think it's pretty even. On the offensive side of the football, it's pretty close. It's pretty similar. I guess I would give the receiver edge to New England just because based off of, because I think Stephon Diggs is probably the best out of the receivers on both teams. So maybe I'll give them the edge at wide receiver. Running games are pretty close. So this thing is pretty even.
Yeah, to me, I think the coaching situation is a toss-up. I mean, Sean Payton probably gets the edge because he's a Super Bowl winning coach. But Mike Vrabel is a very good coach. Keep in mind, Mike Vrabel made it all the way to an AFC Championship game with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Yeah. So he can coach up some football.
That's why I say it's kind of even, man.
Yeah, I think the totality of the teams, I like more New England. Only thing that concerns me is right now New England has some major injuries on the left side of their offensive line. Tonight, their left tackle and left guard are out. That's why when we talk about picks, I think the Giants are going to cover. Even though I expect New England to win, I think the Giants are going to cover the 7.5 tonight because they just have those injuries.
Carter keeps sleeping in practice. It ain't gonna matter no way.
Well, I mean that'll get sorted out. I don't put too much in the critique of rookies because I think sometimes people expect like rookies to come in and be major impact guys, and that's not how it works most of the time. Most of the time, rookies got to ease their way into becoming the guy.
He's sleeping in practice.
Well, I mean, again, according to who?
You ain't Lawrence Taylor. You ain't Lawrence Taylor.
But again, according to who, though?
According to a very credible source who works for the Giants organization.
Okay.
I got the matter of fact, I got the text.
No, listen. I'm not.
No, I want to read you. I'm gonna read you.
Hold on. Let me say this. I don't. If he fell asleep in film study, if he fell asleep during a meeting, is it possible? Absolutely, it's very possible. But is this somebody who's willing to say this is a consistent thing, or are they saying, hey, it happened one time, but we noticed he was sleeping? Because
excuse me, I'm sorry, he was late again.
Okay.
This is what came in from a very credible source, from someone who's in the organization.
Okay.
Abdul is late again for meetings. He's gonna be benched sometime for some time period like last game. Not sure the extent. That's what I can give to y'all. But that's directly from someone who works in the Giants organization.
No, I'm not doubting they're saying that to you. I'm saying that sometimes these things are mentioned without proper context. Right?
Yeah.
Because just like a couple of weeks ago when there were all these different stories about CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, why they didn't start that game. There was rumors flowing, oh, they got drunk at the casino. And then Jerry came out and was like, no, they didn't get drunk. They just missed curfew. They was out. They were at the casino. We knew they were there. We knew where they were at. But again, these stories get exaggerated because it's very possible Abdul Carter was late. It happens. But are you telling me, this person I'm saying, are you telling me that he's late twice a week? Or is this one of the things where he was late today and before this he was late 3 weeks ago?
I didn't go.
No, I know, but that's what I'm just saying. My point being.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, my point being, I'm not until there's more to that. I'm not gonna like make a big stink about it because there's I would say half the players that show up to meetings most times show up late. That's why Tom Coughlin used to have that rule: 5 minutes early is on time. On time is late. Right? And a lot of the veterans even said themselves, when Tom came in with that rule, that was completely different than the way we did it before. Because before you could just sneak in as the meeting started and nobody cared. Right? So, but with that being said, in terms of the Broncos and Patriots, that was the original question. I think the totality of the Patriots is a better team because I just trust Drake May more. I trust the receivers. Like you said, they have a legitimate number one is Stephon Diggs. They have legitimate weapons that I trust more. And I think on defense, Patrick Surtain might be the best corner. Christian Gonzalez might be a top 5 corner. So they both have great cornerbacks. They both have great defenses. Denver's pass rush may be a little bit better, but ultimately for me, if you're telling me in the fourth quarter of a close game, who do I trust more? I probably trust Drake May more than Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, yeah.
So best team, it's probably going to come down to who has the number one seed. For me, I'm leaning towards the Patriots. But as I mentioned, the left side of that offensive line scares me because they do need to get their left tackle and their left guard back before the playoffs.
All right. Kyrie says, now is it time to worry about the Chiefs? No. As long as they are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, that's when it's time to worry about the Chiefs. When they are, if they get to the point where they're officially mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Like, I'm sorry, but the Chiefs done put in too much work, these past 5-6 seasons. So I gotta give them the benefit of the doubt in a way that I won't give to any other team.
You can give them the benefit of the doubt, but I am concerned. We talked about this before the Colts game when we highlighted that they had that 3-game stretch coming up with the Colts, Cowboys, Texans, and I said they had to find a way to win 2 out of those 3. They beat the Colts. They lost to the Cowboys. This Texans game is a must-win. They're legitimately 2 games behind the last playoff spot in the AFC. Not to mention they don't have any of the tiebreakers with the teams in front of them. Obviously, the only team they will have the tiebreaker with is the Colts. But the Colts are also in position to win the division. That might not matter with the Chiefs, right? But, I mean, if the Colts are going to make the playoffs, the move got to start right now because you got Houston who's directly in front of you. If you can't beat the Texans who are directly in front of you, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. And the Texans are a very good team, and the Texans are a playoff-worthy team. If you're the Chiefs, if it's ever going to start, it has to start now. The last 5 games for the Chiefs are not easy, as we highlighted before. You got this Texans game. You got the Chargers after that. Granted, we'll see how healthy the Chargers are. Yeah, but we'll see because the Chargers O-line is really banged up, and now Justin Herbert broke his bone in his left hand. So we got to pay attention to see how that plays out. They get the Titans. Then they get the Broncos, and they get the Raiders. So they got 2 very winnable games between the Titans and the Raiders. Can they find a way to win 2 other games, whether it's some combination of Texans, Chargers, or Chargers, Broncos? They got to find a way to win 2 of those other tough games. They're another team, like I said, you got to get to you got to get to 10 wins. So you're going to have to find a way to win 4 of these last, like I said, 5 games.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see. All right. A little bit of basketball. OKC doing OKC things, 20-1. And what's amazing is they did all this without J-Dub, and now he's been back for 2 games. With J-Dub back, maybe SJ can maybe miss some games every now and then. She ain't missing no games. He young. Listen, man, this is the thing that Eric and I have said, for the Lorgans. This is a very young team. They don't need load management. Like, who's the oldest person on this team? 29, 30? Like, who's the oldest person on this team? Like, they don't need that.
Caruso?
I'm about to say, yeah, Caruso. He's the oldest person on this team. But everybody else, they're young, man. This is a very young team. I mean, out the gate, talk about sweat. They came out the gate like Mike Tyson, okay, knocking everything out in their pathway. And yes, without J-Dub makes it even more impressive, because you could argue last season he's their second best player, right? So to start the season going 20-1, shout out to Chet, who we've spoken about in the past, about him leveling up every season and continuing to stay healthy. And what this team has been doing is nothing short of amazing. I'm interested to see where this thing goes, how far they can take this thing. 70 wins looks like it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah, it is. It does, yeah.
So shout out to OKC, man. You can't do nothing but respect it.
Yeah, OKC's look phenomenal. Getting Jalen back, I just think the overall growth of the team and the hunger of the team. I mean, they look great. Their defensive, their defensive ability hasn't changed at all. They're still the best team in points allowed per game. Mm-hmm. And when you have that type of identity, everything else is going to be easy for you because you have a legitimate MVP candidate. You got a couple budding all-stars. Obviously, Jalen Williams is an all-star, but you got Chet, who's a borderline all-star. You got great role players. But I just think because they have kept that identity defensively, that's what's allowed them to get off to such a hot start. They're a great team.
Yeah. Shout out to Pooh. She says Tyrese Maxey is averaging 32.3 points, 7 assists in 19 games. Is this Maxey's team now, and should front office build around him? I thought it was his team from last year.
I was about to say, Pooh, where you been? We said that 3 weeks ago.
I'm about to say, yeah, it's been his team. Yeah, it's time. It's time to build around him. And Big did come back. Was that last night? But no, this ain't Embiid's team no more. This is Maxey's team. They need to start looking towards the future. They got 2 contracts that nobody probably wants. At this point, nobody's trying to take, and that's the Paul George and the Joel Embiid contracts. But they got a hell of a backcourt moving forward, with Maxey and VJ, who's been amazing to start the season. I think that he's gonna get better and better. The problem is it's gonna be hard enough to move one of those contracts, let alone both of those contracts. And that's honestly what you need to do if you really want to start this rebuild project. You got to get rid of both of those contracts, and that's going to be difficult to do, without maybe, a buyout or something like that.
This is the dilemma they have, like you said, this, and not only in terms of contract, just identifying the identity of this team and the direction they're going to be going. It's Maxey's team. It's clear as day that it's Maxey's team. The fans are excited about him and VJ Edgecombe developing together as a backcourt, but they're not going to be able to move Embiid. I'm sorry.
No.
And they're not going to be able to move Paul George. I'm sorry. So
they don't stay healthy enough. Who's taking that?
That's what I'm saying. First of all, Nico Harris is already out the league. So it's very few GMs that are dumber than Nico Harris. Sorry. But there is nobody who's going to make a trade for either one of those guys.
No.
And if they do make a trade for them, you're not getting any value back. You're going to get somebody else's scraps. you're not getting nobody. What you think? Somebody's gonna give you picks for Embiid or Paul George? You think somebody's gonna give you right? You think somebody's gonna give you quality players for either one of them guys? No, like you said, those guys are barely healthy. When they're healthy, they're nowhere near the productive players they once were when Paul George was an all-star and Embiid was an MVP. So this is gonna be one of those situations where I'm sorry, but Nick Nurse is gonna have to keep saying, yo, Embiid, you're gonna have to come off the bench. And 18 to 20 minutes a night might be your I'm just saying that because
no, I know, but that's oh man, I don't want to get for that conversation.
Right. It's a tough conversation to have, but it's also the scenario of like what's best for this team moving forward. And what's best is that we keep running the offense through Maxey and Edgecombe. That's what's best.
Because Embiid can't run.
Right. Embiid ain't getting up and down the court.
So yeah.
What's best, and I'm not trying to compare because they weren't the same player, but the Knicks had got to this point with Amari Stoudemire when the injuries were just too much, and you knew like the old Amari ain't coming back.
Yep.
And Coach Mike Woodson started bringing Amari off the bench, and Amari was still being able to be productive, but it would be in very short minutes, 18 minutes a night, 20, 22 minutes a night as needed, because that's really how you could get the most out of him, as opposed to thinking he's going to play 35 minutes a night. That's where Embiid is, and I think that's how they're going to have to approach it. You come off the bench with the second unit, we'll run offense through you, we'll slow the game down. But for most of the game and in the critical parts of the game, we got to run. We got to let the young guys take over. And maybe every now and then we might get glimpses of Embiid. There might be those nights where he's just so hot where it's like, nah, let him rock, let him cook the night. But for the most part, it's got to be Maxey and Edgecombe. And everybody else got to understand that's the future of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, it is. Lamar says, what grade do you give the Cowboys for Sunday's win? I gotta go A. You know what I'm saying? You beat the AFC champions, a team that's in the push, always in the push for the playoffs. So I would say A. Dak had a great game, throwing for over 300 yards. The wide receivers, they might have the best wide receiver duo in football with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, both over 1,000 yards on the season. So yeah, I gotta say, hey, the defense, they made plays when they had to. They stopped the running game. Everybody stopped the Chiefs running game, but that's one of the knocks on the Cowboys. Prior to bringing over Quentin Williams and Kenny, on this offensive line, that was one of their biggest knocks, was they couldn't stop the run. So they did that well this game. So I got to go A.
I give it an A+. Aside from Dak throwing that interception on the first possession of the game, that was like kind of deflected as he went to throw and it got picked off. Yeah. He was outstanding.
I hate those because the quarterback always get the blame.
It really was. The pressure got there and his arm got kind of hit as he was throwing and it kind of like flooded out there. But the Chiefs the last couple of weeks have tried to make more of an effort running the ball. They ran the ball 36 times against the Colts with some success. They ran it 23 times, like 119 yards against the Cowboys. So they had some success. But I think overall for me, just looking at the Cowboys and their identity is why I give it an A+, because it seems like for the first time in a long time, the Cowboys know who they are. And like you said, they are built around this passing game. And they're not hiding it. Are they trying to run the ball? Absolutely. Are they trying to establish play action? Absolutely. But when you look at it, Trip, and you're talking about a team that threw for, 320 yards against a Chief defense that's pretty good, against the Steve Spagnuolo defense that we always talk about is going to blitz the hell out of you. Mm-hmm. Dak was sharp. And they're just picking up matchups. And it's not just the two guys. I know we love talking about the two guys, but Jake Ferguson is really good at the tight end position. So I think the Cowboys deserve a lot of credit for the way that they've been able to kind of hang around. It hasn't been perfect. We talked about, they got a lot of slack for trading Micah. They got a lot of slack for, what are you doing making a trade for Quentin Williams and Logan Wilson from the Bengals. But now that run defense has looked better now. This is the third straight game that their run defense has looked better. And by the way, now that they're completely healthy on offense with CD back, now the offense looks like one of the better offenses. And we talked about early in the year that maybe they were going to be this year's versions of the Bengals in terms of a team that can just score a lot of points but can't stop anybody. Now they're actually getting some stops now. So I like what I'm seeing from the Cowboys. I think they get a great opportunity on Thursday. It is one of those games that the loser might miss the playoffs, because if the Cowboys beat the Lions, I don't think the Lions are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
you see the bit. Yeah, it's going to be super tough. I mean, Green Bay's already beaten the Lions twice, so they got that tiebreaker. Chicago's got a significant lead over Detroit for the division. If Detroit loses Thursday night, they might be out of the playoffs. For the Cowboys, if they win Thursday night, there's a lot of pressure then on the Eagles to win on Sunday, because that division gets a lot tighter if the Cowboys win. So I like what I saw from the Cowboys, and I think it's going to continue. I think they actually have an identity, and they're comfortable airing it out now.
Yeah. D'Angelo, shout out to D'Angelo. He says, what happened to the Ravens? Ravens fall 32-14 and drop to 6-6. Fortunately for them, the Steelers also lost, so they still have the division lead. The problem is, and I think them playing Thursday and having almost a week and a half off is going to be a huge help. Lamar needs rest. He's dealing with a couple of different injuries. He's trying to play through, but he needs rest. And you can tell this is not two-time MVP Lamar Jackson right now. He has to rest and get healthy. Unfortunately, it's not like he could take a game off, because they need all these games to assure that they win the division and make it to the playoffs. But yeah, he's got to get healthy. This game this week against the Steelers is a must-win game for Baltimore. So I am glad that they played on Thanksgiving, and now they don't have to play until Sunday, which gives, like I said, Lamar extra couple of days to rest. But he's hurt. Lamar's hurt. He's playing hurt, and it shows that he's playing hurt.
It was the worst performance of the weekend, I think, by any team. The Ravens had a golden opportunity to get the Bengals, who were just getting Joe Burrow back, and the Bengals season was damn near done.
Yeah.
And then the Ravens defense. Yeah, and on top of that, the Ravens jump out early on. Derrick Henry scores a touchdown, and then they just fall apart. And I'm worried about not only Lamar's health, because he hasn't looked good at all, Trip. He hasn't looked good. But I'm worried about this defense again. And we talked about this early in the season, the points they're giving up. You know, you're talking about a Bengals team that doesn't really run the ball well, that didn't have T. Higgins, and yet you still allowed Jamar Chase to go off. Where's the pride in this defense? Where are the guys who are willing to step up and say, look, man, we're going to execute this game plan, and we're not going to let Jamar beat us. If somebody else go off, then somebody else go off. But we're letting the one receiver on the field who can beat us go off.
Yeah. Well, why are we not triple teaming him at that point?
Right. What are we doing?
They got after that. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Them other guys is all right.
Right, but
T. Higgins.
That's right. It's completely different if it's T. Higgins and Jamar. Then it's like, all right, we got our hands full. It's tough. You know, you can't double. It's very tough to double both receivers. But now it's just one. We're focusing on one.
Yeah.
And you should have come out and started the game doubling him. We're gonna take you out of the game very early. Right.
We're not even letting you get.
Right. We're not even letting you get going. You got Joe Burrow, who just missed the last 2 months of football. And we're letting him get comfortable back. Where are the blitzes? Where are the pressures to force Joe Burrow to be uncomfortable in his first start in over 2 months?
Yeah.
And this has been a theme for the Ravens all year. I mean, it's unfortunate, man. They're going to make the playoffs because the Steelers are terrible. The Steelers are trash. And I don't care what the record says.
Did Aaron Rodgers is hurt again?
Aaron Rodgers is washed up.
Well, I mean, that too. But
he's been washed up. All right. They had a couple lucky wins earlier this season. It's crazy because they're going to have wins over some teams that are going to be in the playoffs, because they got to win over the Patriots this year, which made no sense when they beat the Patriots. If the Colts make the playoffs, they got to win over that Colts team, and it makes no sense. And the Steelers, to me, are trash. Mike Tomlin's probably going to lose his job behind this season. The Ravens are going to make the playoffs. It's just unfortunate because I don't see any fight from the Ravens. I don't even think the Ravens believe in themselves at this point.
The GM needs to call Uncle Ray. We need one of them Ray Lewis speeches to get that defense back together, because it's sad right now what I've been seeing from them. And I want to support my guys, but y'all got to do better, man. Y'all got to give the fans something to support too.
Yeah, but I'm be honest. I don't even know. I think there's something else going on there, and maybe it's time for them to change their head coach too. But there just seems to be a lack of confidence on that team, and maybe it's run its course. Lamar's won a couple MVPs. They've had a couple playoff performances, and maybe it is time for just a new voice to come in there.
Yeah. D'Angelo says grade Shedeur Sanders second start. I'm going to give Shedeur a B+.
Very generous.
The reason why I'm going to give him a B+ is Cleveland don't have a lot to work with. They ain't got no receivers. As much as I wanted Jerry Jeudy to pan out and do well, he ain't that. He's to be honest with you, Jerry Jeudy at best is probably a third wide receiver.
Yeah.
Every receiver on this team is third, fourth, fifth string wide receivers. Quinshon Judkins is solid, but week to week, I haven't seen the consistency that I would like to see from him. And again, he's young, so I know he's going to get better, but just right now, so that offense really isn't working with much. As far as Shedeur, 16 for 25, one touchdown to no interceptions. They just need a lot. The reason I gave him a B+ is because he's not turning the football over, and he's working with what he's got.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I say B+ is generous because he didn't do much in that game. They do need weapons, so I agree with you there. To me, I give him a C. He missed some throws early in that game. It was one of the games I did have on in the multi-view. He missed some throws, and there was one throw early in that game where I thought he did the right thing and kind of extending the play, stepping up in the pocket. But Isaiah Bond has the defender beat pretty much from 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Shedeur still doesn't throw it. Then when he lets it go, he overthrows him by another 3 or 4 yards. Like if he hits him with that pass, especially early in the game, it probably the game itself and the tone of the game probably looks completely different. Yeah. But he doesn't hit him there. I thought Shedeur had opportunities to use his legs a little bit more in this game. The Niners defense is banged up, but like you said, the Browns don't have a lot of receivers. So it's kind of like an even matchup of a banged up secondary against mid-level type receivers. You know what I'm saying? But I would have liked, and this is a game that I thought if Shedeur would have just used his legs a little bit more. It's a cold weather game, so you expect it to be a hard-hitting game. You expect receivers to probably struggle with press coverage and all that. But this is one of the moments where you got to just run a little bit more. I know that's not his natural style, but just pick up 4 yards here, 5 yards here. Give yourself an opportunity, especially on third down. They were terrible on third down. But I'm not going to be more harsh than a C because I thought Kevin Stefanski as a head coach was terrible in this game. They had
all season, so
yeah, but he was terrible. They had an opportunity. This game was 10-8. They're right there. They're on that fringe area of field goal to punt. They don't have the wind, so they decide to go for it. It's a 4th and 6. Like that's not it. A 3rd and 6 isn't easy to get, let alone a 4th and 6. And then it was a terrible play call because it allowed pressure to get on Shedeur and it was a rush throw. But then what you did was you gave the Niners short field. The Niners go down and score, and now a game that was 10-8 now immediately is 17-8, and now you're trying to figure out how do we get back in this game? Because like you said, we don't have the receivers to threaten this defense.
We can't play catch up.
Right. And then on top of that, the special teams let them down. They had a fumble on a punt that set up another touchdown. So I thought a C is fair for Shedeur. There were some plays to be made out there, but when you look at the pressures, when you look at like I said, the fact they don't have many receivers getting open, and Stefanski didn't do him any favors either, I think a C is probably as fair as you're going to get.
Ron says Trayvon Boykin being a snake to Russell Wilson and his family. Did y'all see him snitching his ass off? I didn't like that. Well, Ron, I didn't like that either. I thought that was some goofy, sucker-ish, and You corny for that. You are corny for that. Let's be clear, right? Everybody don't get an invitation to your house for Thanksgiving dinner. Everybody don't get an invitation to your house for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Those are two holidays that people hold very near and dear. So if I invite you to my house for one of those holidays, then I think highly of you, because that's family time. That's when we're gonna be around our families. And again, everybody don't get those invitations, right? So for you to go to this man's Thanksgiving dinner and then go on a podcast was like really, it's not like anybody knew you went to Russell Wilson's house for Thanksgiving for there to be a question about, you know what I'm saying, the experience you had at Russell Wilson's house. So you just up here being a chatty patty, talking crazy about, you know, how his family celebrates Thanksgiving dinner. That is corny, bro. Like nah, you need to have several seats, bro. That's whack, man. I don't respect that at all.
Trayvon Boykins is a clown, and you deserve all the backlash you're getting right now on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson hasn't played in Seattle in over 5 years, right? So you're talking about a story that's at the very least 5 years old, maybe more, because he said Lil Future was a little boy at the time, little kid. So maybe more than 5 years. As you also mentioned, even if somebody asks, hey, what was your relationship like with Russ as a teammate? That still didn't require you to go into a specific incident of, I was at his house for Thanksgiving.
Like, how do we get to Thanksgiving dinner?
Right. Right? Because the person asked you the question wouldn't know that you ever went to Russ's house for Thanksgiving dinner.
Or to his house, period, for anything.
Right. Even if they assumed, they wouldn't have known it was Thanksgiving dinner. Right? That's very specific.
Exactly.
For somebody to know unless you talked about it. So, but he's a clown for so many reasons. One, as you highlighted, this man invited you into his home, and now you went out of your way to tell this story all these years later. So we know what you did it for. You did it for clicks.
Yeah.
You're on some podcast. You want people to pay attention. You want to sound credible. You want to sound like you have a story that nobody's ever heard. So you decide to shit on Russell Wilson. Yeah. That's first. Secondly, right? You talking about where was his family? His family wasn't there. He catered the whole thing. Last time I checked, Thanksgiving falls during the football season. Okay? It's very possible Russ wasn't able to invite his whole family based on whatever y'all situation was that year. What if Seattle had a road game that Sunday? So why would I invite my family out here knowing that I got to travel in another day or two?
Yeah.
Right? Why would I bring them to my house knowing I'm leaving town in 2 days for a game anyway? So maybe it's best that we just keep this close with, my wife and my kids.
And even if he doing, who the hell?
Hold on. I'm gonna take, but I'm just giving perspective to it as well, because sometimes when people say things, this is what I meant earlier about context.
Yeah.
The Thanksgiving falls during the football season. There's a lot of guys who don't have a big Thanksgiving dinner with their family because it may not be possible based on what your schedule looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So on top of that, if you Trayvon Boykins, you worried about this man's family, why wasn't you with your family? Why didn't you fly your family into Seattle? Why didn't you have your mom and all these people that you talked about that cooked dinner and your family? Why weren't they at your house? So you criticizing this man about how he had Thanksgiving. You wasn't with your family.
Exactly. You was with his.
Right. You probably was eating up. You probably had 4 or 5 plates, drank the man liquor, hung out in his house. And now here you are all these years later talking shit about the man.
Yeah, that's corny, bro. I'm sorry, that's corny.
You know what I'm saying? The shit is whack. I think a lot of this, the Russell Wilson slander is getting out of hand now. Like when Richard Sherman and them guys in Seattle said what they've said, that was in the moment. Whether we liked it or not, they spoke about it in the moment. But now we still talking about Russell Wilson in Seattle and how y'all felt about him and what type of leader he was. Bro, that was over 5 years ago.
LIG it, Reggie. LIG it.
Yeah, like bro, come on. And and like I said, it's corny because these dudes, this is what they do for clickbait. That's what's starting to make the content game and the podcast space so corny. Because these dudes want to slander somebody so bad just for the clicks.
Yeah.
They talking about he catered it. Lil Future was a bad little kid. Like, bro, shit like that'll get you punched in your mouth.
Yeah, because now that was the other part. That was one
That's
of the
the
parts.
shit that gets you punched in the mouth.
Yeah, because why are you talking about his kid and how bad the kid was?
Right.
Now, you might have Future punch you in the mouth and Russell Wilson punch you in the mouth when they see you.
Right.
Like, why is that of any relevance? I don't care if the kid crashed the car through the front of the house. You don't speak on people's kids. That is not your place to do. Ain't nobody ever gonna ask you no question like that about somebody kids and whatnot. Like bro, stop. Like, nah, I ain't trying to hear that. That was real corny of you. And if Future and the guys wind up pressing you behind that, then that's just something you're gonna have to deal with now.
Yeah. Like, come on, bro. This shit is whack, bro. I mean, even the podcast that allowed it to happen. Like, that's one of them situations as men. I wish somebody would be like, yo, bro, don't do that though. Don't talk about his family and all that. Like, you went to the man's house. If y'all not cool, y'all not cool. But don't sit here and act like it was so weird at his house that you conveniently stuck around for the whole Thanksgiving dinner. And like I said, probably had some drinks and chilled at his crib because your family was nowhere to be found. Where was your family on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, why you ain't go with your family and
That's
your
what I'm
dad?
saying. You so worried about why he didn't fly his family in. Where was your family?
Who knows?
And by the way, I forgot because Trayvon Boykin as a player was irrelevant. But somebody in the comment section had reminded everybody Trayvon Boykin was arrested for beating up his girlfriend a couple years ago.
Well, that's probably why his family wasn't around.
That's what they had highlighted. They said the reason you got cut from Seattle was because you had beat up on your girlfriend and got arrested. So maybe that's why your family didn't want to be around you.
There you go.
But Russ is weird because he catered Thanksgiving. Trip, I hope when we get money like that, Trip, I hope you don't think I'm weird if I decide to cater Thanksgiving one time.
No, you weird, Eric. You weird if you cater Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Maybe I just don't want my wife cooking.
Maybe I want her to relax. Be cooking. The dog is bad. I'm telling everybody.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, damn.
Let them know. Oh man, Rara says, who had the more impressive catch, Treylon or Puka? I mean, that's really just a preference thing. I don't both. Both
that Puka catch was nasty, bro.
But yeah, so
the Treylon one, I'm gonna give Treylon the advantage because it was a touchdown. But the Puka catch is nasty, bro. You talking? He's fighting off the defender with his left hand. He damn near reaches behind him and snatches it one hand. That was a nasty catch.
Was it better than the Odell catch?
I mean, we had like 4 catches this week that was all one-handed. The Treylon is the closest probably to the Odell in terms of like it being a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, you look, Brock Bowers had a crazy one-handed catch. I think that one was either a touchdown or, there were some great ones this week, some great catches this week.
All right, let me go to Pooh's comment. She says WNBA and WNBA Players Association agreed to a 40-day extension on the current CBA agreement. I mean, that's the business of basketball. Obviously, we know the ladies want more money. Hopefully it works out because if there ain't no collective bargaining agreement and y'all don't play, ain't nobody getting paid. So I hope they can work it out. And I hope the ladies get what they want.
I think it's a good sign because at least they're negotiating, and that's why they created the extension. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a positive sign, and I hope they do get it worked out because the WNBA and women's basketball as a whole has gained a lot of momentum over the last 3 years. Don't lose sight of that. Like all that momentum could be lost if you go on strike.
And that's the thing. That's why it's really, it's when you have these collective bargaining agreements, it's damn near like the government shutdown with the Democrats and the Republicans. Don't nobody want to give, but everybody loses if you stop the ball from rolling. Because right now it's a steam engine that's been heating up these last couple of years. The WNBA cannot afford to have a lockout to start this season.
I agree.
So I really hope that they can work everything out. Shout out to the ladies of the WNBA because you guys have leveled this sport up year after year after year these past couple of years. That and obviously along with the influx of these stars that are coming out of women's college basketball. But as a collective, ownership, the players, please, y'all got to get this together because the last thing y'all need is a lockout because that will derail everything that has been going great for the women's basketball these past couple of years.
Yeah.
Kyrie says, how will Aaron Rodgers' teammates respond to criticism? I mean, this whole team is bad, so doesn't even matter how they respond to criticism. I'm sure the guys have respect for Aaron Rodgers based off of his career and what he's accomplished over his career. But then you also got guys that's gonna look at you like, what have you done for me lately, you scrub? You out here stinking up the joint. You ain't been good since you left Green Bay. Don't come for us unless we send for you. So you're gonna have both sides of that.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you how they're gonna respond. They're gonna laugh about it because Aaron Rodgers ain't gonna be there next year anyway. They can care less. Aaron Rodgers, first of all, Aaron Rodgers is the king of alienating himself with his teammates. I think it's crazy that you're a dude who has not played well in weeks, and then you got the nerve to call out, well, guys got to come to film study. Guys got to. So were guys showing up to film study earlier this year when y'all were winning, when y'all were finding ways to win games?
Yeah.
Right. When the defense was creating all those turnovers, were your receivers not showing up to film study then? Yeah, they was probably still showing up to film study, but the offense is played like crap. And Aaron Rodgers is at the heart of that. Aaron Rodgers has not played well himself.
Yeah. So, Aaron Rodgers, good old Aaron Rodgers. 49ers chances to win the NFC West. All right. Mathematically, they have a pretty good chance, right? Because
they got a great shot.
There's only a game separating them from Seattle and from Los Angeles. Obviously, we spoke about this earlier. The Rams losing to Carolina, leaves the door wide open because if they win and they're 10-2, then I feel like there's the chances the window starts to close for San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
But because they lost, you let San Fran, who won, what I'm saying, shout out to Brock hitting the Dougie on that touchdown, but you left the door wide open. And again, one game. We got a lot of football left this season, so they got a pretty good chance to win the NFC West.
I think they got a great shot. They're 4-1 in the division. All right, so they've handled their business there. They got one more division game, and that's against Seattle to end the year. Seattle and the Rams do have to play each other one more time, so for a fact one of those teams is going to lose that game, so that gives you a chance to gain ground. But outside of that, the Niners still have the Titans, the Colts, and the Bears as well. The Titans should be a win. Obviously, the Colts and the Bears are playing for a spot in the playoffs. And I think, what other game am I missing from them? Yeah, that's it. That's actually their last four. They got the Titans, the Colts, the Bears, and Seattle. So if they win 2 of those games, they get to 11 wins. I think the most important game there is probably that last one against Seattle for the division. Because like I said, Seattle and the Rams got to play each other one more time. But if the 49ers find a way to win any combination between the Titans, Colts, and the Bears, if they take 2 of those games and they're already sitting at 11 games, I think
Titans, you could put that in the wing.
I think we could book that right now, right? We could book that one now.
You can book that one.
So
the other 2 is gonna be 50-50s, but
right,
that one.
So depending on what version of the Colts they get, because obviously we just talked about Daniel Jones being compromised.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility that they're already going to be sitting at 11 wins when they play Seattle at the end of the year.
Yeah, so they got a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo says Browns defensive tackle Shelby Harris calls out Javon Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ain't mad at him for it. And when they do play each other again, but just be on your P's and Q's. Keep your head on the swivel. That's all I'm gonna say is keep your head on the swivel because guys do not forget.
Well, Shelby Harris wasn't the only one. Myles Garrett also called him out as well. They all said that he crossed the line with some of the things he said when one of the Browns players got hurt.
Yeah.
So Myles Garrett is one of the most respected guys in the league. Myles Garrett has won the Walter Payton Award for Man of the Year. Mm-hmm. So if Myles Garrett says it, I believe it, bro.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the Mason Rudolph situation from a few years ago. Looking back at it now, Myles Garrett was right. Whatever he said, Mason Rudolph said that shit.
Yeah, and it's like the crazy thing is, it's like, yo, with the amount of injuries that your team has been hit with, you should be the last person. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. We like, listen, man. This is a very dangerous sport, maybe the most dangerous sport, at least team sport, definitely. When guys get hurt and you go down, you lose your career, you out for a long time. Injuries mean that there's a potential that you're not going to be able to feed your family anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you're on my team, his team, that team, this team, whatever team you on, you should be wishing for health for everybody. You know what I mean? Because as easy as somebody goes down for injury, you could be the next one to go down for an injury, and yours might be a lot worse. You might not be able to get back on the field again. So come on, man. You got to do better than that.
Is whack and it's corny from Juwan Jennings because every player who takes the field understands the risk that's involved, right? And even us as people who watch the game and comment about the game, we always say you never want to see somebody get hurt because you understand what comes with that. So for him, for whatever he said, you crossed the line. Come on, you know that better than anybody. You put your body on the line. You know you're risking injury. You know you're risking serious injury. Just recently, we had a player who almost died on the field. Mm-hmm. So knowing all that, why would you cross that line in that way?
Yep.
Oh, Jackson Dart just took a massive hit. A fight is about to break out at the Giant game. A full fight is about to break out, Trip. And the Giants have every right to be upset. That was a dirty hit, bro.
Oh, my goodness.
Nah, the Patriots is crossing the line a little bit. There was a hit earlier when Jackson Dart slid that was very close to like, that might have been a little bit of a cheap shot. But this one here, bro, he's literally running out of bounds, bro, and the linebacker unloads on him.
Listen, let me try to take my quarterback out, man.
He's running, yo. He's nah. That was.
I'm gonna watch the replay after when we get off.
Jackson Dart is still inbounds, but he's already angling out of bounds. That's a dirty hit to me, bro. You don't lower the shoulder like that.
That's wild. Squeezo says, "Is the early MVP race a 3-man race between SGA, Jokic, and Luka?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have said it was a 4-man race if Wemby didn't get hurt, but yeah, it's a 3-man race now.
I think I think that's fair to say between those three, and their teams are having great seasons. They're off to great seasons.
Everybody in the West, ain't nobody looking like MVP in the East.
I don't want to say that. I just don't think there's nobody, because I was going to say in the East, Detroit's off to a good start. Cade is off to a good start, but Cade ain't having an MVP caliber season.
Yeah, no.
So that's the thing about it. They're guys in the East. Brunson's off to a good start, but they're not having an MVP caliber season.
Got you. Kyrie says this may be an unpopular opinion. Talked up Cade, but Cade Cunningham is a top 10 player in the NBA now. Where you rank him is on y'all, LOL. Now I gotta go down the ranking order to see if I feel like he's a top 10 player. Let me see. Okay, so just off the top, right? From who we just said, the 3 guys we just said is ahead of Cade, right? So that's Luka, that's Shea, and that's Jokic. So that's 3 right there. All right, now then, I'm gonna throw in the mix probably Donovan Mitchell. I'll probably put him ahead of him. Let me see who else I'm gonna put ahead of him.
Giannis.
Giannis got to go ahead.
We have 5.
So we already so we have 5 right now. Let me see who else can
you put Ant-Man over him?
Ant-Man is
So you have 6. I think Steph is still over him. That's 7.
That's 7. Yeah. Let me see.
Do you have KD over him?
Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, trying to not even put Steph and KD in these conversations anymore because I feel like they just never said. But yeah, but KD is in there. So we at 8, right? That's already 8 right there. Let me see. Anybody else who I would put ahead of?
I mean, that's probably like his range because I think Cade and Brunson are kind of like right in the same area. Because I think Brunson is like a borderline top 10 player.
Wait, did we put Wemby in there? Because Wemby is better.
Oh yeah, we gotta put Wemby in there. Yeah,
That's already 9 right there.
Yeah, so I think that's the range. Because like I said, I got Brunson right in that 10, 11, 12 range, and I think him and Cade are right there together.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's okay. So we will see.
I mean, if you go just off numbers, obviously.
Yeah. You know what? I got to put Jaylen Brown ahead of him too. I'm sorry.
Ahead of Cade.
I
think Jaylen Brown is more accomplished, but I think Cade is a better player.
Okay. Is anybody else that I would say? Let me see that I could really think about right now. I mean, anybody else I could think about is probably going to be close. So you could go either way. I would probably say Paolo maybe. But again, it's it's close, so you can go either way on that one. Maybe Maxey. But again, I'm not mad. You can go either way on that one as well. So I wouldn't be mad at that one either. Yeah, maybe Devin Booker. But I mean, again, he's in that
Book
range.
is a good conversation to have because we forget about Book because Phoenix hasn't played well the last couple of years, but Book is probably there too.
Yeah, so those are the guys I would say.
Yeah, like I said, I think Cade. That's what I'm saying. I think Cade is in that range anywhere from like his probably highest would probably be like number 9, and then his lowest is probably like 13 or 14, somewhere in that range.
Yeah,
is what Cade would be. Because like I said, if you think about all the guys we mentioned, they all in that range. Brown, Brunson. We didn't even mention Tatum, obviously, because he's been out.
Yeah.
Right, but Tatum is probably higher than Cade.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tatum is definitely.
Yeah, when he's healthy, he's higher than Cade. So I think
the only reason I didn't mention because he's
right,
out.
He's out. Right, and then like I said, the conversation also becomes like Halliburton and Cade.
I probably would give Halliburton the edge, but again, he's not playing this year, so I'm gonna leave him out. All right, let's go to Cooper Flag. Scored a career high 35 points the other day. When Kyrie and AD can play with Cooper, pause. I wonder how great they make him. It's sad the Mavs' top 2 players have an injury history. Yeah, well, first of all, I don't even know if AD gonna be there because the way the trades talk is going on right now, he might not even be there when Kyrie comes back. So we might not even get to see a fully healthy this Mavs team fully healthy. I would like to see it. The good thing about it is at least with everything that came out, from after the Luka trade and whatnot. One thing that came out of that is Cooper Flag is going to be a superstar in this league. Yeah. That is the one bright spot. You got injury-prone Kyrie, you got injury-prone Anthony Davis. Clay, you might as well throw him in the injury-prone category. Likely, he didn't miss huge chunks of times. This whole damn team is pretty much an injury-prone basketball team. But you can build your future on 6'10" Cooper Flag, who is going to be a problem in this league.
Shout out to Kyrie. Listen, when you say it's sad Mavs top 2 players have an injury history, right? This is why we thought the Luka trade was so stupid. Because you were banking on, not you, Kyrie, but Nico Harris was banking on like, oh, we're going to build this around 2 guys who are 30 years old who have an extensive injury history.
Yeah.
We're not talking about like, it's not like they were never injured and now somehow they just started getting injured. These were guys who already had an extensive injury history before they even got to Dallas. And his bright idea was, let's trade our 25-year-old MVP candidate point guard who also just took us to the finals for a 29-year-old center whose nickname is Mr. Glass. Trip, that's his nickname. That's what the kids are calling by him. That is his nickname. But Nico Harrison completely messed this up. I think Cooper Flag is a generational talent. Mm-hmm. I think Cooper Flag is going to be a legitimate all-star by next season. This year, it'd be tough as a rookie because the West is stacked and he's not making an all-star game this year. But by next year, he's going to be in that conversation. Yeah. But unfortunately, the two guys around him are never going to be healthy. And it's very possible that Dallas might be a lottery team again this year. Because I don't think AD and Kyrie are going to play enough games to really impact. We thought before the season they could be a good playoff team. I don't think they're going to play enough games to impact winning.
Get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
The reason I laugh, I'm gonna go back up, but I had to throw this comment up there. Shout out to Dion Hoops page. He said, "Trip, when you kept naming players, I swear you want to say LeBron so bad."
Yo, I ain't gonna front. I was waiting for you to try to like slide his name in there.
Well, listen, I knew if I had said LeBron, that would have started. We'd been on here for a whole nother half hour.
Yeah.
If I said LeBron's name, so I'll let y'all rock. Even though I do feel like LeBron is, but whatever.
Man.
I'm gonna let y'all rock. I didn't say it. I didn't say it when we had the discussion, so it don't count. All right. That's it. Shout out to Dion on the Hoops page. Oh man. All right. Let's see. D'Angelo says, "I love what I'm seeing from the Houston Rockets." I do as well. They're playing really good basketball. They're gonna be they're a legit playoff team. The issue that I have with the Houston Rockets, though, is not something that's going to be seen in the regular season. It's something that's going to be seen in the playoffs when they don't have that floor general out there, and they're really missing Fred VanVleet, because as much as KD is a point forward, he's not a floor general. He can bring the ball up, he can pass, but he's not a floor general, and that's something that I believe they're gonna need come playoff time. But regular season, they're gonna do their thing in the regular season. You got Kevin Durant, like with that team, you got Kevin Durant with that defense and that coach. They're gonna do good in the regular season. It's the playoffs that I'm concerned about.
I think they're gonna solve the point guard issue, and at some point they'll make the trade. Be on the lookout. Because depending on how much the Celtics want to tank this year, I wonder if they would be interested in trading Derek White if Houston made them an offer. Remember, Derek White, Ime Udoka, they already have that connection from Boston. I think Derek White would be the perfect complement for them.
Interesting, yes.
So that's somebody to pay attention to, like I said, especially depending on how Boston starts to look as it gets closer to All-Star break, because we know they're not competing for a championship this year. So if you could trade Derek White and get some more assets and then go into next year knowing Brown, Tatum, and all these other young guys, maybe. Something to consider, though. But the Houston Rockets right now, 13-4 in the season. They play the Jazz tonight. They're playing right now, I believe, actually. 8-2 in their last 10. A lot of the talk about Kevin Durant, rightfully so. I think Kevin Durant has been great there. I've been critical of Kevin Durant in the past, Trip. You know that. But I love the fit with Houston. I love how they're playing together as a unit. I think Şengün is the perfect complement for Kevin Durant, because Şengün is a legitimate all-star big who does a lot of dirty work around the rim, and it clears up space. And because he's such a threat offensively, you can't double off him. So it allows the additional pass and the backdoor cuts that I like to see from Houston. But the thing that's really stuck out to me the most is their defense. We talked about Oklahoma City being the number one team and points allowed. Houston is number 2. Houston is playing great defense across the board, and we've seen the growth of Jabari Smith, of Amen Thompson, of even Reed Shepard now, who's shooting really well. They got 6 players on their team, Trip, that are averaging over 11 points a game. So this is a collective. Durant is the star. Durant is your go-to. He's your closer. But every night, any one of these guys can give you 20 points a night. They're a very, very good team with a very, very good coach. And as you said, if they get the point guard, that I think is what can elevate them to that next level. Right now, without the point guard, I don't think they can beat Oklahoma City in a series. Because Oklahoma City is too good defensively to be, like you said, to be playing through point forwards and all that. You got to have a legitimate point guard who can set some things up. But for right now, I do love what I'm seeing, and I love that it's coming together so quickly for them, because I always thought this was a really good fit for Kevin Durant.
Poole says, "I've seen the USA national team is having training sessions, I believe this month for a week, and Caitlin Clark, Paige, and Juju have been invited. So will all 3 be on the next USA team?" Well, Caitlin and Paige definitely. Juju, again, she still got she's still going back to college for this next.
What's the next Olympics? 28, right?
Yeah.
So Juju will be in the league by then.
She'll be in the league, but it'll be her first year in the league when
She'll be like finishing her rookie year.
yeah. So it may be a situation where how we saw with
With Caitlin,
Caitlin and Angel, where we would have loved to see them and felt like they could have or should have been on that team, but it just didn't happen because it was them in their rookie season. That's the only thing that where I'm like, is it gonna happen or not? But the fact that she got the invite, shows that she's in the mix. But I just just based off of what happened, what we just saw, that's basically my reason why I'm saying that, because we literally just saw this happen with Caitlin and Angel.
Yeah, I think, and that's a great point, Trip, because she'll be a rookie year. It's tough because you're gonna have other female players who have already been working out with the team as well. Depending on the coaching staff for it, Juju may just not have enough experience at that time. And even though she's getting the workout and the invite, we still don't know where she's at physically with her game, because again, she's sitting out this year. So it's possible, but I think Caitlin and Paige for sure. Juju might be the wild card to make it.
Well, listen, I would love to see it.
It'll be dope if she does, and in due time she will be on an Olympics.
Yeah, either way, she's gonna be on it. So
yeah,
whether it's the next one or the one after, she'll be there.
Right.
All right. Pooh says, Ray J, what's y'all thoughts on him overall? Recently, he pulled the gun out on his kid's mom. He always in the news for weird-ish. I don't know if he does this to get attention or he's on drugs. It's both.
It definitely
on
is.
drugs, and he does this to get attention and to get clicks and to make money. Actually, he spoke about it the other day in the interview. He talked about how the more negative you are, the higher the numbers go up.
Right.
So it's a combination of both. I'm not with nobody abusing drugs and having that kind of effect on you to where you're pulling out a gun on your family. So all I can do is pray for Ray J and wish him well.
Listen, Pooh, I don't know you personally, but you sound like somebody who's pretty grounded, right? The same way all of us got to wake up in the morning and go to work, and that's how we provide for our family. Ray J got to act the ass. That's how he provides for his family. And like you said, it's drugs and attention, because if he ain't doing nothing outlandish to draw attention to himself, then there's no reason for him to be on Love and Hip Hop. There's no reason for him to be on these podcasts. So he's, unfortunately, that's what it's become for a lot of these people who don't have any emotion, who don't have nothing else going on. They got to act out on social media, because then that's the way they get your attention, so that you watch whatever show they're on or whatever podcast they're on or whatever so-called project they're about to put out. You know what I'm saying? Without that, realistically, if Ray J went about his day like a normal individual, nobody's checking for Ray J. He got to do outlandish shit like this for somebody to check for him.
Yeah. Squeezy says, okay, D Wade must have got a call from Rich Paul. So he says Jordan is the GOAT, but says Jordan is the best player he watched and Bron is the best player he's seen. Isn't that the same thing?
I don't know what that means.
It's not the same thing because he never played against Jordan.
But that's not what he said.
So he watched, on TV, seen with his eyes in person.
See, Trip. I see what you're trying to do right there.
See what he said it. I didn't say it.
Trip. You try to use common sense to justify nonsense. All right. You see how you try to clean up the verbiage there? You try to clean it up by saying he never played. Right. Of course, he never played against.
Y'all should let me alone, because I didn't bring up Bron earlier when I had the chance to. Y'all should have left me alone. Now you're gonna give me this question.
Come on, man.
You know how
Mike is the greatest player I ever watched, but Bron is the greatest player I ever seen. You used your eyes for both of those, didn't you? Your eyes didn't deceive you in either one of those. Come on. Just if you now had he said, hey, Bron, Mike is the GOAT. That's who I grew up watching, but Bron is the greatest player I've ever shared the court with. Yeah, I respect that. Yeah. I respect that.
Okay, so obviously, because he said it the way he said it, but I would think that that's what he would.
That's how, right?
to get to. It just sounded a little crazy. But I knew when I knew what he said, what he meant when he was saying that. Like, yeah, you never played against. Like, I watched him. You know what I'm saying? He's the greatest player I've ever watched play the game. And then LeBron is the greatest player I've ever seen as a player.
He thought he was giving some ultra deep answer. Like, bro, just it's like when people ask me about boxing and they be like, oh, who's the greatest? I'm like, well, the greatest fighter I've ever seen from my era is Floyd Mayweather Jr. But based on highlights and totality, it's Muhammad Ali. But I wasn't alive for the Muhammad Ali era, so I don't know what that felt like as a fan. I know what the Floyd Mayweather era felt like as a fan. I know what that was like when the pay-per-view buys was 100 million every time, when the rollout for the fight was the biggest thing going. You know what I'm saying? So I know what that was like as a fan. So if he would have, like I said, worded it in that way, like, hey, growing up, because he's from Chicago, growing up watching Michael Jordan was the greatest thing I had ever seen. But the greatest player I ever played with or shared the court with was LeBron. I 1,000% understand that.
Well, he got
not the greatest. Yeah, the greatest I ever watched and the greatest I ever seen. Get the.
Yeah, Janetta say he definitely got a Rich Paul.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody say something positive about LeBron, they got paid off by Rich Paul to y'all. But that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna go to Lamar's comment.
Well, when Rich Paul about to get that call from the FBI soon. They playing games.
So Rich Paul paid everybody to talk about LeBron but me. Fine, whatever. Love y'all legendary female hoop interviews. Appreciate you, Lamar. Cheryl Miller, known as the GOAT, and knee injury stopped her from the WNBA to finish her career. Don't you feel her not playing in the W makes her a legend better? No, I don't feel that way. I think, and this is something we spoke about, Eric, what makes her a legend better is her Hall of Fame brother, Reggie Miller. That's what makes her what makes the legend of Cheryl Miller better, because, you know, had she played in the WNBA, she probably would have been good, but there's also a chance that she may not have been what she was in college, because we see that all the time. We see guys dominate in college, coming to the NBA, and it's not the same. We've also seen people be average in college, make it to the league, and be great in the league. So it's not guaranteed that she would have came in the WNBA and just that success from college would have automatically just transferred over, and she would have been the best thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? So, and because one, it doesn't always work out that way, and two, your resume is also contingent on the team that you play for. So we may not look at her as the GOAT if she goes into the WNBA and doesn't get any championships. Let's just say, you know what I'm saying? Maybe she got an MVP here, might have a scoring title, but because she doesn't win the championship, now we don't look at her as the GOAT. So, you know what I'm saying? Her legend is the way it is, and it's as big as it is because she has a Hall of Fame brother in Reggie Miller, and that's okay. It was great for the story.
Yeah, I understand what Lamar's saying, though, because it creates this mystique around like what she could have been. The legend grows. And I agree with that to a certain extent, right? Because she gets injured. Like you said, we don't know where the career goes. The WNBA was not in existence when she would have been coming out of college anyway. So she would have had to probably play overseas, and she would have been an older player by the time she got to the W. So there is no guarantee that she would have still been that type of ball player by the time she got to the WNBA. So there is this mystique. It's no different than, and I'm just comparing players. I'm not comparing lives or careers, but it's no different than when we hear the what ifs of like Len Bias, right? Obviously, Len Bias died tragically, but there are a lot of people who felt he was on the level of Michael Jordan. Yeah. We just never got to see it.
Or Earl Mandigo.
They
talked about him.
Right. Reggie Lewis with the Celtics, who passed away at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? So the legend of Cheryl Miller does grow because we didn't get the opportunity to see it in WNBA. But Trip, as you mentioned, because we talked about it before, I think also what really helped the legend was that her brother was Reggie Miller. And it kept her name and her legacy alive. Because every time people talked about Reggie, they talked about those great battles with his sister in the backyard. If she had a younger brother who never made it to the NBA, her story dies a long time ago. Because there are plenty. Why didn't we hear Tina's story for all these years?
Yeah.
Right? Why there's so many other women? Why don't we hear their story? Because there's nobody else to attach that story to that we can keep talking about them. With Cheryl, we got the opportunity to keep talking about her, even up until recently when her and Reggie even did like a sit down for NBA TV. You know, we're talking 40 years later, we're still talking about the battles of her and her Hall of Fame brother.
And that's the thing, because they're brother and sister. See, so now, right? All right. So let's say the NBA goes through Thanksgiving, goes through Christmas, right? So, and sports are generally family orientated things. So anytime Thanksgiving or Christmas comes up and it's like a family thing, is a new opportunity for Reggie or Cheryl, who are both commentators.
Right.
You know what I mean? For the story to come up again. So they're gonna always have those opportunities to continue with the legacy.
Right.
All right. Hoop Central says, I went to a high school basketball game the other day and I sat, I guess, where the parents and families were, and Trip and Eric. I had to move at halftime. They was yelling after every call, yelling at the coach and acting a fool. I think some of these parents embarrassing their own kids and don't know it. Parents is not about you. Let me move the comment up the screen. Okay, so Hoop Central. Coming from someone who has filmed youth sports from 8-year-old up until the college level, you are 1,000% right. I done been by parents that shout the craziest damn things, and especially when you're talking about at football games where you can't be having a little nip because the game's
Yeah.
outside and they go in, and I'm talking about they don't care that the camera's right next to them. They don't care about none of that. These parents are crazy as hell, and yes, that's what they do. So if you want to go to a high school game or middle school or elementary, that's what you need to be prepared for.
It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing how many of these parents live through their kids. I coached youth basketball for 3 years, and I didn't realize it my first year, but before my second year, I literally used to have a meeting with the parents before the season, like, yo, these are things we're not going to allow. I'm serious, Trip, because you have to. You know what I'm saying? You have to, because it's like, yo, I get it. You're passionate. You want to see a kid do well. You want to see your kid play. But you're not about to be the coach from the stands if I ain't never seen you come into one of our practices and help out with anything. Because that's the other thing. The parents don't be wanting to show up to no practices. They don't volunteer for nothing, but they seem to know more than the coach.
Yeah.
On game day, they somehow they know more about the team than the coach does, who've been with the team every damn day. You know what I'm saying? Now they know what plays you're supposed to be calling, everything. So, but it's sad, bro. It's sad, and like you said, it's embarrassing to the kids because you would be surprised how many kids scringe up their face when they know it's their parent's voice because they know it's their parent, and they make that face like, I wish my dad didn't come or my mom didn't come to this game.
Exactly. Let me go to Imani. Shout out to Imani and Imani's pops. What up, pops?
What up, pops?
She says, my pop says, if Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, and T-Mac don't have no injuries, could any of these three get into the top 15 all time? They didn't do too much winning because Bulls was still around. One of those what ifs. Okay. Top 15 all time is a little bit difficult for me to say. And here's why. Because none of them have the resume from let's say the start of their career to the first major injury that they face, to where I would say they were on a trajectory to be a top 15 player, right? I mean, T-Mac has the one scoring title. Obviously, they have the All-Star appearances, but I don't really put too much on the All-Star appearances because a lot, especially for guys like that, they're going to be in the starting lineup, and that's the fan vote. So I don't really put too much on that. But just with what they had accomplished at that point in their career, I don't know if any of those guys gets an MVP award. right? Championship is a different thing, obviously, because that's been contingent on what team you play for. But as far as the individual awards, to be in top 15, you got to have multiple MVPs. And just based off of what I saw, yeah, they were good, but I don't. I mean, they were great. Let me not even say they were good. They were all great players, but I don't see them all finishing their career with, let's say, 3 MVPs. You know what I'm saying? 10 all defense, 10 all NBA, something like that. That is what you would need to get into the top 15, right? We up here debating whether or not Kevin Durant is in the top 15.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not easy to get into the top 15. You really got to have the resume, and respectfully, because all three of those the guys that your pops named here, Imani, were great top tier players. But when we talking about top 15 all time, the resumes just got to be there, and I don't see them as have been on a trajectory to have a top 15 resume. Now, if you want to say top 50, top 75, okay, yeah. If they don't get hurt, I could see that. But top 15 is, you got to be the best of the best of the best.
So T-Mac, no, because I don't think it's fair to even put T-Mac in the conversation with these other two, because T-Mac had a pretty solid career. The injuries just started slowing him down. Mm-hmm. But if you look early on in Toronto, early on in Orlando, T-Mac got a solid like 9 years out the league. You know what I'm saying? Before the injury started slowing him down. By the time he got to Houston, he was really broken down physically. Yeah. But Orlando years was great T-Mac. And Toronto, he was a really good young player developing at that time. Penny and Grant Hill is the interesting one. Grant Hill, by most people's recollection, probably was the closest thing to becoming a top 15 type guy. When you talk about the skills, the ability to create offensively, he basically had, he was like a stronger version of a Scottie Pippen, but with better offensive skills. Could do anything he wanted on the court. And obviously the foot injury slowed him down, and we missed the opportunity to see him and T-Mac together. But for me, out of these three, I think it's Penny Hardaway. Would he have won MVP? I don't know, Trip. But what I do know is that in his second year in the league, he helped elevate the Orlando Magic to an NBA Finals. And no disrespect to Shaq, but as dominant as Shaq was early on, it was not LA Lakers Shaq. This was still a young developing Shaq. When Penny hit the scene, that team took off. They went to a different level. And like I said, those 2 years going to the NBA Finals, and the next year they were in the Western Conference Finals against the Bulls. They went to war with the Bulls. Unfairly, they were a little banged up the second time. I know the first time Mike had just came back from retirement, but the second time Horace Grant wasn't healthy in that series, and that hurt that situation because they needed Horace Grant to go up against Dennis Rodman. Yeah. But I think Penny was the one guy. If you look at Penny's style of play, the way he was able to influence the game, impact the game, do so many different things, super smooth offensively, could get his shot whenever he wanted. Penny Hardaway, I think, was going to be, if any of these three had the potential to be the top 15 guy, because I think the accolades would have started to add up over time.
Eventually, right? Yeah.
He would have had the assist numbers. He would have had points numbers. He would have had the All-Stars, the first team All-NBA. And if he didn't win an MVP, he would have been in the top 5 voting several years. He was probably one of the most athletic point guards that we ever seen at his size at that. You're talking about a guy who's 6'7", who could do everything on the court. So to me, Penny's the one guy that the injuries probably robbed him the most. I think Grant Hill, it robbed him as well.
It did, but I think we saw enough from him to where top 15 would have been a stretch.
Grant got to redefine his game, because when he went to Phoenix later on, he was still a quality player. Mm-hmm. Penny, the injuries robbed him so much of everything he could do. He could never get back to being that athlete again. Yep. Mentally, he was still very good. He understood the game at a different level, and that's why you see him as a coach have some success. But physically, his body just could not hold up.
Yeah, and his game was predicated on his athleticism.
On athleticism, right. His ability to get anywhere he needed to get on the court. I thought his vision was A1. You go back, like I said, throw on the tape, throw on the YouTube highlight. Look at some of the passes he's making. No, I know I'm saying for our supporters. Go look at some of the passes he's making as a 20-year-old in the NBA, bro.
His first day of 7th grade, my sneakers for school was the penny. So
Yo, Penny
that was my boy. Okay, that was my boy. You know. All right,
Penny was a
let's see
problem,
this
bro.
last comment. Then we're gonna get to the final thought segment. Janetta says, shout out to Janetta Johnson, by the way. She says, y'all think Klay Thompson is really in love? It's almost like he didn't date black women before Megan. Every time she cooks, he says it's the best meal ever. I think Megan may like him, but she seems to be using him to clean up her image. Notice she is the one always recording them, not him. But
That's a
Klay
great
seems like
point.
he's so hooked he may ask her the question soon. Now, I'm not gonna fault her for that because generally it's women that do most of that stuff anyway. Guys don't just be out here posting with with their lady like that. So that part of it is like yeah, she does post more of them, but she's a woman, and women generally do that more than men. Now I can't say whether he loves her or not, but I do believe that he does have very fond feelings of her. Obviously, I'm not him. I'm not in his circle to say yeah, he definitely loves her. But I just from what I see, I would say yes. I think it is genuine for the both of them. How long it lasts, that I cannot say. But at least for right now, I think it's genuine and I like it.
I don't know if it's genuine or not. Like you said, we don't know him or her personally. But Janetta makes a great point, and I was going to say this. When she said, notice she's the one always recording. The picture that kind of broke this story, remember, it's a selfie she took, and he's in the background lounging in a chair. He didn't even know she was taking a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure before she posted it, she had an opportunity to think like, yo, should I like crop him out of the picture? She intentionally left him there. She left it like almost like as a clue, like, all right, if people catch on, and then after that moment, like the floodgates opened up, and she just continued to post. So I do think there's some truth there. What Janetta says that maybe this is her way. She may really like him, don't get me wrong, but it's also a way for her to clean up her image. There's somebody who is pretty professional, hasn't been in the spotlight in a negative way at all.
Yeah, if you were actually trying to use this situation to clean up your situation, Klay is the perfect person for that.
Right. And it's also, a different type of guy compared to what she has dealt with before, because a lot of other guys were musicians, right? So this is an athlete, and it's a different mindset, and this is also somebody who's been in the limelight for so long. He's not affected by any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Where somebody else who might just have gotten in the limelight within the last year and a half, there's a lot for them to absorb. So it might be a combination. I don't know if he's truly in love with her or not. Do I think it's going to last? No, I don't think it's going to last, though. I just think that there's too much there that's working against them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Their lifestyles are different. Like I said, Klay has always been very reserved, very quiet, very to himself. And it's going to be interesting to see how he handles when she starts putting a lot of music back out and she starts promoting herself the way she's always done, because she is a sex symbol.
Mm-hmm. She goes
on tour, because that might be something that Klay might not really be comfortable with. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Again, Klay is very reserved. So it's one thing for you to be my woman and people have older perceptions of you. But if you back to making the same music you've been making, you doing the same type of videos you've been doing, you on tour, maybe I might not be as comfortable with the relationship.
Yeah, I don't think no man want their lady out talking about swallow it, goblet, and all that other stuff.
And that's why I say that's, to me, is going to be the point where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Because right. He may look at it like, nah, don't do that.
Yeah, I can't.
But that's how she make her money.
Exactly. Well, he got enough. Maybe she don't have to do it. No, who knows? I don't know. Give us a final thought, Eric.
Is he marrying her? I don't know.
I have no idea, man.
Listen, man. As always, shout out to the supporters. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you lock in on Wednesday with us, 7:30 p.m. Myself, Trip Young, Will Gordon, we all there. We got picks for you guys again. And this holiday season, guys, just stay safe and enjoy your family. Don't get out here. Don't do nothing crazy. They trying to trick us out of our spot. We talked about it. Trip, myself, Will, we talked about it. Y'all know what's going on. Y'all know the current climate in the country. Don't let them trick you out your spot, man. Just be smart.
That's a fact. Y'all stay solid. Shout out to my main man, John Cena. Lost the Intercontinental title to Dominic Mysterio at Survivor Series over the weekend. It's down to the last days of Cena, man, in the WWE. So salute to John Cena and salute to all of the supporters. We appreciate you guys more than you will ever know for rocking with us every Monday, every Wednesday, the way you have been doing. Make sure you guys are following us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. And of course, subscribe to that YouTube channel, youtube.com/For the Fans Productions. If you're not in New York City on Thursday nights and you can't watch us on Verizon 43, don't worry. You can watch anywhere in the world. Just click that red button on the homepage at realfansrealtalk.com and you can just go ahead and watch that show on Thursday nights. And make sure you subscribe to the two best podcasts moving. That's the Real Fans Real Talk and the Sanchez Show podcast. We're gonna be back on Wednesday night for the Sanchez Show. So get them get the notepads ready so we can get to the next parlay and pick some winners. And with that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.